Hi everyone, Rory from Data Spinners, Power Addicts and TGG. I've got a really great thing to show you today. It's probably one of the best things I've ever built, or rather I haven't built it yet. So as we go through this, I'm going to build a solution. Now what's going to happen is I wanted something that would allow me to look at my Power BI reports, maybe filter them, go to different screens and so on my Power BI reports and refresh them. So in order to do that, we're going to need a model-driven app, a Power Apps Canvas app. We will need some Power BI reports, and we will need a Microsoft Flow, or rather Power Automate, look at how out of date I am, to make the Power BI data refresh take place. So this is going to be a long video, so you're going to need one of these. So I think that at this point I'm going to do a bit of a time thing where I'm going to switch out and show you what we will have built, although I haven't built it yet. So I'm going to switch over now. So the output of the session will be a Power Apps model-driven app, which has got three entities: PBI datasets, PBI pages, and PBI filters. The purpose of this is so that we're able to go and have a Power BI report. I'm just going to hide the report here. We've got this set of screens here where we navigate through the entities, and we'll have the ability to refresh the data set. So I'm just going to show you the report first. So we can click onto a different section, it will call up a different report, or rather a different report page, and we can even do things like hit filters, and it will actually filter the page in different ways. So you can actually see the filter is 2019 there. But if we change it here, then the filter becomes male. Now clearly you'd want to do something a bit more complex than this, but it's kind of complex enough as it is. And we can sort of jump through to kind of showing and hiding the report here as well. So there's the report. And the other big win on this is that we can do a refresh of the data set. So we can see in this instance here, I'm just going to kind of make sure I look at the report section. It's got a nice big number on there. And let's have a look at the females. I think the females took up more of the of this. And I'm actually going to click on this one here and look at 2017. That will do. And what I'm going to demonstrate now is I can go on to this the actual spreadsheet that drives this, go onto the products. I can actually change the price. It was a very expensive flapjack there. That will update my sales page, and then I can go back to my report here and I can click refresh dataset. So just look at that 628,000, lots of monies because of all the flapjacks. And I'm click the refresh dataset. Now I'm just going to kind of click on and off this page to demonstrate that we should find that actually it does refresh the data. So there's 536,000, so it has actually changed, but by an amount. And I can go to show hide the report, and I can see a full version of the tile that I'm looking on at that time. So that was the purpose of this. So we've got the ability to navigate through, and in this case we've actually got a timer that just refreshes every few seconds. So that is the objective. There's actually a flow that actually drives the update of the data set, and we'll see how to create that as well. I'll try and look down below to see if there's any resources as well that can help you along your way, and by all means please comment. Okay, on with the show. So here I am. I'm in Office, office.com. I'm logged in, all that sort of thing. This is a tenant that I have only set up like a day ago. So there will be quite a bit of setup that will need to take place, but I think that's quite useful. So what I'm going to do first is we need to create a model-driven app in order to house the data that we're interested in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch into PowerPoint because I want to show you. Let me see if I can insert a new slide and go blank slide, and then let's just pump this up, because what I want to do is show you the shape of the data model that we're going to do. Now, will I be able to do that? Because I was planning on, let me see if I can duplicate my screen. Duplicate. So here I am in PowerPoint, and I'm going to demonstrate the model that we are going to create. So first off, I'm going to have an entity called PBI dataset, PBI dataset, because that's the kind of like reports look at data sets. You can have more than one report for a data set. I'm going to kind of assume that in this case, the data set and the reports have a one-to-one relationship. So that's going to be at the center of our model. And we're also going to have a PBI pages entity, PBI pages, and we're going to have a one-to-many relationship between the dataset and the pages. So a report effectively can have more than one page. Now, in actual fact, they call them report sections, and we'll see that later on. But you kind of know what I mean, that we're going to have, and the reason we're doing this is because when we do when we kind of navigate out, we will be able to actually navigate out via Power Apps to look at different report pages from our various reports. The third entity that we're going to create is a PBI filters, because as well as having URLs that are able to look at different data sets and reports and pages, we can also have ones that can look at different filters and apply different filters, which is kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do on that is I'm just going to go and call it PBI filters. And we're going to have another one-to-many relationship between the dataset and the filters. That is what we're going to build as a model-driven app. What we'll then do is we'll populate it with some data relating to some reports, and then we'll also gonna jump out to Flow. I know it's Power Automate, but we're going to jump out there because we're going to use Flow to refresh the data set. So here we go. I'm going to do this as a live demo. Yay. So let's jump out here, and I'll get rid of you. So here we are on Office 365. I'm going to move into Power Apps, and my original plan was to do a database within an environment. I actually did it within the default environment, but I had a mishap on the video. So what I'm going to show you is how to provision an environment. And then we're going to put a database inside it and do the bits of my my video that fell over. So what I'm going to do, I'm in Power Apps. I have a P2 license, and I am going to go to the admin center, which was just on the cog on the right there, and then I'm going to go into environments. And at the moment we have a default environment, but for the purposes of this bit of the demo, I am going to create new, and I'll choose a name, demo environment, It's going to be a production environment. It's actually asking me here if I want to create a database environment. I don't normally do it this way, so I'm going to do it the way I normally do it. So I'm just going to create the environment, and then I'm going to put the database inside it. Region is United Kingdom. Actually, I'll just put it as that. That's fine. Just make sure that your environments are actually consistent across each other, because sometimes you get time differences and all sorts, and it can be really, really upsetting. So I'm going to click Save on that, and my environment will provision at that point. It shouldn't take too long. But we shall see. So it's been created, and now I'm going to go inside this demo environment, and I should get an option to create a database. I could have done that straight away, and you can go to create my database. It is pretty straightforward. You select a currency and a language. To be fair, for the purposes of this exercise, we don't really use anything to do with the currency. The language I'm going to do is English, and then you click create my database. And that will be doing that will be creating the environment in the background. And so if I go back to Power Apps now, there's make.powerapps.com, we should see that I have I've just clicked on the environment there. I've got my demo environment here. So I've clicked on that. It doesn't look like I've done much, does it? But if I go to data and I go down to entities, if I see entities, then I know I've actually created my environment. It actually says there's no database found, which is rather reassuring. So I'm just going to jump back on here and just see how it's actually getting on. Yeah, so it's provisioning the database at this point in time. So it's not that exciting. It doesn't actually take very long. So whilst that's doing that, because the result of creating the environment is, let me just see if it's actually created. I'm sure it doesn't really doesn't take very long at all. I think it may have been created already by the looks of things. It's kind of whirring around. So now inside my demo environment, I have entities, and I can create entities and all that sort of thing. So the next part of the process, I'm going to switch back onto the default environment and just demonstrate creating a solution and a publisher for a solution. So it's going to switch back into the this default environment that I've got here, and I'm going to go down to the bottom here, and I can see solutions. So solutions are wrappers for your entities, your model-driven apps, your Canvas apps. You can have is it option sets? There are so many things that can live inside a solution. I'm just going to click on this default solution just to show you that there are lots of things that can be contained within a solution. You'll see. I'm not quite sure what that's in there. But it's inside the default solution, and you can see it's got reports, it's got entities, it's got option sets, dialog boxes. But our solution will be an awful lot simpler than that. So if I click on solutions, this is the because I've had to come back and do this, this is actually the final version of the solution that we're going to create. So this is what we end up creating in the end. So that's a sneak preview of our solution. But I'm going to move back onto here, and I'm going to click New Solution, and I'm just going to give it a display name of demo solution. We will only use that in this section here, this little bit where it went wrong on the video. And now I'm going to hit a drop down for a publisher. Now I call this I call it HSpin Pub. I want to show you how to create a publisher. It is very straightforward. So you hit the publisher, display name called demo pub 2, and then the key thing here, well in my case, is I put admin at the start. That makes all my at the start of my entity names and object names, they'll all start with admin. So then I click save and close, and then that means I'm ready to hit the drop down, and I can use my demo pub2 here. Now, I'm not aware as to the extent to which you can actually change your publisher once you've actually created a solution, but this is the method that you need to use to do this. And then the final point is that you just put, you have to give it a version number and then 1.0.0.0. That will get you through. And then if you click create, then your solution, your empty solution, has now been created, and it uses that particular publisher. And there's nothing in there at the moment, but and we'll see as we go through the demo us creating entities and so on. So I'm going to break off now. So we've got an empty solution here. I'm actually going to switch back to the one that I use in the most complete part of the demo, the Power BI portal demo here. This is the complete version here, and actually I can't see the flow in there. So maybe it's a good opportunity to just write the flow inside this. Yeah, there's my flow down there. That was my completed version. So I'm just going to redo this flow to sort of demonstrate how this gets constructed. Now, the purpose of this flow is that we can supply in a workspace and we can supply in a workspace and a dataset name, and that can be triggered using Power Apps. So it is actually a relatively simple flow. There are ways of extending it and making it more clever. We're just going to do a kind of simple version of the flow. And so because you can't always add existing flows that easily, it's far better to create your flow inside your solution. So I'm going to click new. Then I'm going to go to flow. This will jump me out to flow, and I'm going to call it. And actually, first of all, I need a trigger, and the trigger is Power Apps. So Power Apps, and I just click Power Apps there, which is fine, and I just click on that, and I'm starting to write my flow. I'm going to give it a name, Power BI data set refresh 2. So just find that later on in the demo we're actually going to end up using the original flow that I created. So the first thing I need to do is I need to do a new step. The new step, I just need to write Power BI. So this connector, or this ability to refresh a dataset, came out only in October 2019. What we do here is it's very tempting to just kind of training and go on to a particular dataset. And then make it do it that way, and that will work, it's fine, but it's not dynamic. So what we're going to do is we will enter a custom value, and the custom value is ask in Power Apps. Now, when I first did this, I did make a mistake on this. So when I on the dataset name, that also needs to be dynamic. And so I'm going to enter a custom value. Now, the first time I did this, and I've made this mistake more than once, I clicked this workspace dataset, which is not the right thing to do. I need to click see more, and then I need to do ask in Power Apps, and then that is me. And then what I did was I stuck a response in, so I'll put a new step. So essentially what it means is that you can actually set up your Power App to be able to respond to you can set your flow up so that it can respond to the Power App once it's kind of started the data refresh. Now, I know that later on in the demo I don't bother using it, but it is something that's kind of handy. So I'm going to type in the word Power Apps, and it will be respond to a Power App or flow. It's just a step, and you've got an output. So here I'm just going to click an output. It's going to be text. Enter the title. I'm going to call Power Apps response. In fact, Power BI dataset response response. Now what that will do is it will show up in the Power App itself. As I say, we don't use this. I'm going to put your data set has started to refresh. Now bear in mind that when you do this type of dataset refresh, it uses up one of your 8 refreshes per day. So be careful with that. Obviously there are other ways of refreshing it. Just go to the dataset and you can actually click refresh and so on, but this does use one of your 8 refreshes per day. Also, if you have a dataset that is in the middle of refreshing, this will fail because it's in the middle of refreshing it. So you probably would need to put some kind of error trapping in to stop that from being a problem. So at this point we can save the flow, click save. Just bear in mind with flow that you can click save, it will save it, it's actually fine, but then when you actually navigate away from it, it'll then say, do you want to save it? And you know, you could be in a cycle like that forever. So that one has saved. I am going to click, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to click done on that, and you can see my Power BI dataset refresh 2 has come in. The Power Apps refresh dataset, that's the one we're actually going to use in the rest of the demo. So I'm going to click leave on that. So we've done on this. As it happens, I don't need this. Dataset refresh 2. So I'm going to remove it because it'll confuse matters later on, because the demo picks up and I've done this refresh dataset. So remove, and I'm actually going to delete it from this environment, not just from the solution. So I don't want this muddying my solution. So I'm going to click delete on that. And just shows you that there's two ways of deleting things. So that's all nice and happy. For the rest of the project, we now need to, what you'll see is all of these data sets and so on, they're going to disappear because we're going to pick it up from earlier on. It's like winding back in time. So hopefully it won't be too confusing. So all you'll find that we have when we pick up will be that we'll have a Power Apps Refresh dataset flow. Great. Good. So here we go. This is quite good fun actually. So we're inside the solution. You can see we're inside the solution. We're going to go new entity, and what we should find is that we've got a prefix of admin. So display name, I've got PBI dataset, primary field, I'll call it dataset name. That'll do. Do I need to enable attachments and things? Not really. I don't know if you can do this retrospectively. So I've got a name. That's brilliant. And then once I kick that off, yeah, it's provisioning the entity in the background, but we can carry on working. Now, let me just check that it's, yeah, I'm going to call it, I'm going to call it URL dataset, and I need to go to the data type. It needs to be URL data type, and I need to go down to the advanced options and make sure, just put the length as 400. Some of the dataset length, the lengths are quite long, so I'm just going to put it as 400, and I'll do that for all my URLs. So click done on that. I will need a new field. I'm going to call it URL PBI base report. So it's just that there is when you first open a Power BI report, you will, let me just jump onto Power BI. I think I've got, well, I must have one in here because I was messing around with it yesterday. So my mighty one report. I know I've actually got two. So on a Power BI report, what you'll see is it always ends up with this piece here, but actually you can just, this is the base URL here, and as soon as I click go on it, it'll actually add the report page at the end. Here it comes. It just adds the report section at the end, but you don't really need that. So I am going to go on to because the reason why we don't need it is because we're going to add that on ourselves. So I'm going to go on to here, and where am I? I'm trying desperately to add, so URL, PBI base report, that's fine. I'm conscious that you can have one dataset, many reports. I'm just going to assume in this case that we have just a one-to-one relationship between the reports and the datasets. And I'm going to click URL on this, and again I'm going to make the max length 400, and I'm going to click done. Then I'm going to do, let me see what I've got. I've got URL dataset, URL PBI base report. I know I need one more URL, but we can actually pick that up later. I want to think about what it is actually. URL embedded, really important. URL embedded. So I can do add field and then URL embedded. So I need to do that. I probably should have actually put these as all required, but I haven't. I'm going to click done on that, and away we go. So that is that entity. Now that entity isn't done yet, and the reason it's not done, I'm going to click save entity, is because we need to provision the views and the forms. So it's really, really simple though. If you go onto the views, it's really easy to do. Now there will be, we may need to come back to this, but we'll see anyway. I just went quickly onto active datasets, and all I need to do is to do click these add these in here, and I'm going to get rid of the created on because it's not really that useful to me. Dataset name, that's wonderful, and then go back on that, and then I'm going to need to go to the form, and I need to go to main, so there, onto the information, and then I need to add my fields in. So I'm going to go to my custom fields, and I'm going to just click OK to those. So you can hardly see it here actually, but so there we've added the URL dataset embedded and PBI base report. So that's great. Just a reminder what the embedded is you basically just go to hit the three dots, embed, and then you do website or portal, and that will give you a URL out the other end that you can then use, but it's what you need in Power Apps to make the reports show up. So I'm going to go OK on that. So back we go. That is us done. And I'm going to save that. Now I need to create 2 more entities, so I don't need to publish it yet. I'll just do a big publish at the end. So that's me done on that. Well, later on I will need to do relationships and so on. So back to Power BI portal, there's my data set, then I'm going to go new entity, and we're going to add in just going back to the data model. So looking at this, that's what we're gonna do the PBI pages at this point. So let's call it PBI pages. PBI pages. Okay, that's fine. And so display name. Yes, we do need a display name, because what we're looking at here is if you look at this tab called environments is actually called report section B0 BE da 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 da. So this is the page name. This is the I'll call it section ID, report section ID. So I'm going to call this I'm going to call it page name, and it'll never be that long. So if you look at more settings, you can see it. Then it only has a certain length that it can get to, but I don't think that's good. That's not going to be an issue for us. So I'm going to click OK on that. Page name, great. And then I'm going to call this report page ID. No, I think it's report section ID. Let's just check that. Report section ID. So I probably should have called it a section, but anyway. Report section ID, but it at least points us to the right area. Now these aren't that long either, and we can get away with text on this. So max length 100, that'll be fine. Actually, it should be required. Otherwise, there's no point in this. So I'll click done on that, and then we'll need to. I will save the entity so that I can do the views and the forms. Click save on that. Good. So I now just need to do the views, same as before. And I'll do the relationships, I think, at the end. Once I've created my once I've created the other entity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to active PBI pages, and I'm going to add the report section ID and then remove the created on. Remove. Great. And then go back. I think I need an associated view, which is when you navigate from one to the other. So I will go on to that, go on to there, and I'll remove this, and I'll go okay, that, good. And now I need a form because I want to be able to enter the data, and I'm going to go on to main, and then I will go on to my custom items and pop in report section ID. Wonderful. You can't really see what's going on there, but we're going to have page name and report section ID. So that's where we put in, so page name would be environments, report section ID would be this string here. And now I need to just jump back, and I need to save that. Good. And I'm going to hit back. I've probably gone a bit too. Oh no, that's fine. Fine. We're on this. So I probably ought to do the relationship at this point in my life. So I am going to create a relationship. It's going to be a. I'm going to. Let's see how this goes. I want to create a relationship between this and the PBI dataset. So I'm just looking around how best to do this. So let's just go for it. Add relationship, and it's going to be a many to one. I can have many pages within one report. So many to one. Shouldn't have too many entities to choose from. So it should be PBI. So I'll have a data set, and I don't think I need to do anything too clever. You can change the way in which this relationship appears on here. I'm not too fussed at this point in my life, and I'm going to click done on that. Yeah, that's fine. And I'm going to save the entity. What I think I might need to do as well is I might need to pop that into the forms and so on. So let's just check that. And go to there, custom, yep, and I need to pop that in. So that's just gone in there. It's nice the way it's okay, and I'll go save and then back. And I'll need to do it on the forms as well, unfortunately. So the views, back onto the active PBI pages. I'll need to, I hadn't done the view at all, pop those two in and then remove this, go back. I need to go onto the associated view and pop those two in, and then remove this, and go back. And now, so we've done the PBI dataset and the PBI pages. The final one to do is the PBI filters. Now, the reason why we want to do PBI filters is because you can, if you go onto here and you, actually this one doesn't really have very many filters in, so I'm going to jump into a different Power BI report. So I'm just going to go on to training, onto reports, and I'm going to this one here. Now, this is really, really important because the filters that I can choose from are, these are the filters I can choose from. And the more you put these filters in, the more availability you have for doing filters. And why that's important is because you can add that to your URL. And if you do that, then you can actually have a dynamic URL, which is what the aim of this process is. So I'm going to see if I can sort of show you the idea here. I might have to do some things from a bit of memory here. Okay, I'm back. So the idea is that you can, if you add a question mark at the end here, and then pop this particular syntax here, $filter equals dim date year equals 2017. Dim date is my table, year is my field. It only works because it's in here, and then I should be able to hit the go button and that should filter itself down. I'll be really chuffed if it does actually. It's normally a good sign when this works like this. Yes, so you can see that that's now filtered it down to 2017 only. So that's why we're doing the next bit of it, like full on. Okay, so moving back to the app, that's why we want to do this. That's why we want to do this extra entity. So I'm going to go on to Power BI portal. And I'm going to do new entity, and I'm going to do display name, and it's going to be PBI filter. And I'm just going to try and think. It probably needs a filter name. Filter. Yeah, I need filter name, and I need my filter options. Filter name. So yeah, what I'm going to do actually is going to do some piped options. That means I'll have like 2017 pipe, 2018 pipe, 2019, and I can turn that into a drop down using the split function. So we'll call this filter name, which will be something like year, and then I'll click OK on that, and then I'm going to call it piped options. So add field, piped options, filter pipe option. Okay, I'll call it options because it'll always be, well, it should be multiple. Data type text, advanced options. Well, I could make it huge, make it 300 or something, and then click done. And then actually I'm going to make it even longer than that. I'm going to probably put something ridiculous in there. Advanced options, description, max length, put it as 1,000. And then you click down to done, and we're okay. So we haven't got much in this entity. I'm going to save the entity. Then I'm going to do my relationships, which is a many to one. Nope, did that wrong, whatever that was. So there's my PBI filter. What I wanted to go was to go onto relationships and then add a relationship, and I'm going to do many to one, so many PBI filter options to one data set. So many to one, go down to the entity, and then it should be my PBI dataset entity. I'll have a quick look at this, the name, PBI filter, PBI dataset, that's fine, and I'm going to click done on that. And then I'm going to save the entity again. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the views and the forms. So click onto the views, and I am going to go to my active PBI filters, pop these two in here. I'm not going to bother taking the created on out, and click back on that. And you know, I know that I'm kind of going over the same ground here, but you know, there's no harm in just, you know, it's the fact I've done it loads of times that means this feels like a straightforward thing to do. Pop the forms in there, always go to the main form, and then I'm going to go to my custom fields here, pop those two in. In reality, they should be, you can see that they're, the ones that are starred are actually required fields, but the piped options aren't. But I mean, in reality, they have to be required, otherwise it's pointless. So click save on that, and go back. And now we've got, we have our data model. And this gives us an opportunity to create a model-driven app. So that's what we're going to do next. Model-driven app. Drink some tea. Right. So in order to do that, I need to click onto my solution Power BI portal, and I'm going to go to new, and I'm going to go app, and I'm going to go model-driven app. Now, it shouldn't take us very long to create this app. All I need to do is PBI portal. Tough, I'm calling it portal. PBI, let's go Power BI portal. And I am going to click done on that. Now, the concept of a sitemap is that, well, it'll become more apparent later on. But what I'll do is I'll just create the world's most basic app. So you've got this area, group, and sub area. We're just going to focus in on the sub area, and we have to select an entity, and it's going to be our PB. There's my PBI dataset. It's probably maybe it's badly named, but anyway, I've done it. And I will save that. I'm going to save and close. And I'm actually just going to stop at this point and save it. I'm going to validate it. It'll give me one error on here. It'll always say an error because PBI doesn't reference a form of view. App users will see all forms and views, but it's fine. I don't mind if they do. And I can click publish. And what I want to do is just quickly jump into playing it to show you what we've done. So click on play, and we can see that we've got our PBI datasets. And if I click on there, we don't have any. In fact, what's curious about this is my this where it says dataset name is driven by the view. This is, I'm expected to see 3, maybe 4 columns, and I'm only getting 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the entity. Click on the entity. As you can see, our model-driven app has been done here. The client extension bit is that you can actually jump into it, but it's just that sitemap. That's what the client extension is. So I can see that there's something wrong with my data set. So I'm just going to go onto the views and go onto this active datasets view, because that's the one that's caused me a problem. And I'm going to click in on this to make sure they're all in there. Get rid of that because I need a bit of space. Click save. I am going to click publish on this occasion because I want to make sure it takes effect. So, and that means I'm going to go back onto this, and I should be able to see all of my fields at this point in time. Come on, you can do it. Okay, good. So, dataset name. Well, actually, we could start populating this. So I am going to do that. So what have we done? So if I go new, I can now start populating this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto this data set here. Do I want this one? It doesn't really matter which one I do. Power Platform Admin Dashboard. let me just see if I can find somewhere where I can just, I'm going to go view related. Yeah, I just want to copy that. Okay, Power Platform Admin Dashboard. In fact, I won't use this one because there's I can't refresh it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto this one here, and I'm going to go to view related, and then it's going to grab this here. Oops. Okay. So I'm going to go onto here, and then I go dataset name is going to be this. URL for the dataset. Oops. Power Platform Admin Dashboard. No, I'm going to kill you because it's confusing me. And then I'm going to click on this. So no, don't do that. Do you know what's interesting on this? Is you should be able to see the dataset, which is a bit weird. Normally, I'm going to get, actually, if you click on there, schedule refresh, that takes you to the dataset page. So I'm going to copy this and go onto my page here. This is my dataset. So the thing to know about this is that this is the workspace and this is the dataset, and we will use these when we do our flow later on. We will dig into these to strip those out. So that'll be fun. So going on to, we don't need to edit the flow, Power BI. So I've clicked this. Then I need to get my URL embedded, which is dead easy. So I'm going to go on to, I'm going to click back on this, because all I need to do is to click the dots. Oops, click the dots, embed, website or portal, click that. Now I'm going to check that. Now this is quite good because it doesn't actually take you to a specific page, and so we'll add additional things on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just fire up Notepad, and let's just see Notepad, and we'll see what we get here, because it's quite a long string. So if you look on this, oh goodness me, it's massive. I'm going to put it onto Word then. So we'll fire up Word, so we can actually get a bit of a sense as to what we're actually looking at. So I'll kill that. Don't save. Blank document. I'm just going to chuck Word up on the screen so we can see if we can actually make some sense out of what we're looking at. Good. Good. Here's Word. Here you come. And pop you in there. So we've got da 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 da. Okay, yeah. So this is your embedded report. So what we'll do at the end of this is we'll add the filter da 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 that we did before, but we'll do that within the app. Actually, no, you can see the question mark has already come in. So at that point, you just put an and in order to create your additional criteria. So that's what we're doing, and we're going to grab that, and that's going to go in there. And that's why I wanted I knew this was quite a long string. So if I go onto my URL embedded, I'll paste that in there, and it's happy with me. And I'm going to go onto my base report here, which is all of this, but without the report section. Really, really important not to have the report section. It's not really needed. So go on there, and then I can then save and close it. So we finally got some data. Wonderful. But actually, we have got an app that doesn't really have, it hasn't got the other entities in it. So we've got to carry on. How far are we doing this? 46 minutes. Who's still with me? So the next part of the process is we're going to add the additional entities that we created, and we're going to do that. Let me just see if I need to, let's just go on to this. So we're going to do it on the sitemap. So I'm just going to save and close this just to remind us how we actually get there. So I'm going to go back off this onto the solutions, and where it's down to solutions, and click on Power BI portal, and then I am going to go onto my model driven app, and then I'm going to edit that, and then I'm going to click on sitemap, and then what I'm going to do is click add. Actually, if you actually click in the right area, so and then you go click add, then you get to sub area, and you can hit the drop down, and I need PBI. I think they're all called PBI. Filter, and then save that, and then add sub area, and then just do PBI again, and then that would be my page. And in fact, I think I'll move the pages up if I can. I'll just click save on that. I might need to save it first, and then I can drag it up. Yeah. So I'll go datasets, then pages, then filters, and I'm going to click save and close. So at this point, you can see we get lots and lots of things, yeah, we'll see how we go with this. So I'm going to save and close this and click done. Now I'm just going to check whether or not I need to actually publish this to get all my, I'm going to click the refresh on this to see if my my app is up to date. No. So what I'll need to do here is I will need to I'll need to publish what I've done so far. So I'll come off that. So if I click publish all customizations, then whatever changes I've made, you know, whether it's in the flow or whatever it is, they're all just going to get kind of flushed through. So I'll go click publish all customizations. It takes a little bit longer than doing it individually. So that will kind of come through quite soon. So I'm kind of racking my brains as to the next part of the process. So what I think we should do is we should now populate a little bit of data so that we'll just see how this, we've got an app, it actually works. So we've created a model driven app so far, and let me just refresh this. I will be most unhappy if this doesn't come in. Good, brilliant. So we've got this, and what I can now do is I can now click on this particular record. I can go to related. I can then go to the PBI pages, and I can click new PBI page, and it's automatically put in the data set that we're interested in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start populating this. So I've got stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. I'll just do 2 of them. Oops, so I killed that. Right, I'm going to get rid of that. So I've got page name, which is stage 1, and the report section ID on stage 1 is, oh, it's actually, the first one is always called report section that you create, so it's called report section, and I will save and close that. And then I'll do another one, which is page name, which is stage 2, and what we'll see is the report section will be different for that, so I'll go stage 2, and that's this bit here. Now I'm just going to get rid of that bit at the end because that's where we added the filter, and I'll press OK on that and it'll just remove that filter just to illustrate this does actually work. Cool, so that's come in. So my report section, which is stage 2, is actually called report section 04 da 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 da. So click that in there, and I can save and close that. So we've got stage 1, stage 2. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. So back onto my data sets. Click on there. Now I'll go to related, and I'm going to go PBI filters. I'm going to add a little filter in there. So in fact, you can see my associated view isn't properly set up here, but it will be okay on this anyway. So I'm going to click new on that. Dataset name, in fact that's the wrong new. I need to put new PBI filter. So filter name is, let's call it year, and the filter piped options is, let me just see what the options actually are. Year 2017, 2018, 2019. So 2017, and there's the pipe. 2018, pipe 2019. It's a little bit clumsy, but it's not awful. And click save and close on that. I could have another filter, so we could put in new PBI filters to see what filters we've got. Got gender, and I think we've got male and female. So filter name is gender, and we've got male, pipe, female. So pretty sure those are your options. I'll do save and close on that. I was just going to check what my gender options are. It's actually blank is one of them, which so I've got a slightly dodgy data set. Country is a fun one actually, because you've got loads and loads of countries. So I should maybe do something like France and Germany. So in fact, I think I've done this. I've not quite got this right, because what you must do is you need a field called table field. That's really important. So when you're doing these filters, you need, if you look on here, the structure that we need is, let me just see if I can get it on screen somewhere. There's Word. This is what we need here. We need to know what the filter. We need this table field here. That's the table. That's the field. So we actually need another. We need another field in order to express table field. So I'm going to go back here, and I am going to. Well, I think this does just illustrate why this is actually quite cool. So I'm going to go onto my entity, and I'm going to add field, and I'm going to call it, display name is filter table field, and it is text, it's required, and I'm going to click done on that. And I am going to go onto my view. Well, forms needs to go onto forms, so I'll go to main. Dismiss. I need to save the entity because the field needs to be created. Then I can go onto the form and I can add it into the form, which means everyone's happy. Doesn't normally take a while. This is actually all going through my phone at the moment because the internet isn't working. So please work. Okay, so that worked. Go on to there. Okay, good. And I go custom. What do I like the look of this? New PBI filter. Let's just have a look at this. Because what? Ah, there's my default. I want custom. Oh, that's a bit strange because I was expecting my table field. I hope I didn't do it in the wrong entity. So I can see that the field is definitely there. It's definitely a custom field, and I don't know what it's up to. So I'm going to go on to my views. They're quite easy to do. Active PBI filters, and then I am going to pop these lot in here, and then go back. I'm also going to put it onto. Make sure you do it onto the associated view as well. Pop those in, and click back. What else? And then I want to go onto my form because I really don't know why I couldn't put it in. It's going to be most upsetting if I can't put it in. There it is. I think I just couldn't see it. So we can see that we've got my filter table field. And it is can be a little bit tricky doing this bit. So I'm going to put save. I am going to publish it because that should mean that it's available to me. So if I go on to here, so yeah, we've got gender and year, but we haven't actually told it the we haven't told it the table field that's relevant to it, which is not very good. So I'll click OK on that. Oh, that's a bit strange. So I'm going to go PBI filters. So we should. Okay, I think I need to publish my customizations at this point in my life. I'm going to go to gender. There's my filter table field, which is kind of handy. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back onto here. Now the thing that's tricky is that it doesn't tell you the table. So I need to go into edit mode on the on the Power BI report, so I can actually know what field it is. So it is the dim customer gender. So there we are, dim customer gender. Okay, click OK on that, and then back we go. So we'll go back on that. Well, it's not really back because I think I'm looking at all of them now. Then year, and then this will be dim date year. Now bear in mind we are going to construct a URL based on this, so you've got to get it right. Do I save this? Oh yeah, it'll just save down there, bottom on the bottom right. Dim date year. Okay, these are my piped options, so I can now kind of go onto the data sets. I can navigate through, I can look at the related, I can look at the PBI pages. I've got a couple of pages in there. You can see the view isn't very good on this because but actually if you click on stage 2, yeah, it'll get there in the end. But what we're going to do is we're going to leverage Power Apps to actually kind of work its way through all this. The model driven app isn't perfect yet because you can see that some of the views aren't. This one's nice. This one's, I don't really like it because I want to see the actual report ID. So I'm going to jump back there and I go back, and I'm going to go, and this is kind of why doing these is quite nice, because it's quite easy to kind of get through this way. Let's just remind myself it's the pages that I wanted to do. So the page, and then go on to the views, and then go to the active Power BI pages, and then pop these two in here. That's the related entity, that's fine. I'm not bothered about this. And I probably prefer it just there to see the report section ID. Page name won't be that long, but the report section ID might be long, as you can see there. And I think this thing is a bit wider than that. So I'm going to click back on there. Hopefully that actually worked. I don't remember saving it. So how do I do that? So I'm just going to quickly check. Did I actually save it? No, you Wally. So I'm just going to click straight save. I'm going to remove view, and then widen this, and then save that, and then publish it. Now I think what we should do also is to bring in a new report, because it kind of makes more sense to have more than one report. So what I'm going to do is click publish on that, go onto my go onto this. I'm just going to refresh it, see if I actually get my new view. Should do. Yeah, I've got my new view here. So I'm going to go onto my Power BI datasets, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a new Power BI report just to illustrate that we can jump between different reports. I only have two in this I say favourites, there's no point in going to favourites, I haven't favourited anything recent. I've only got two reports inside this tenant. So this is one of them, and what I need to do is I need to go to this is my I'll just start setting up this this report. So Power Platform Admin Dashboard. All right, I'm going to go here, and I am going to go to View Related, so I can grab this, right, and then move back here, and then PBI datasets, got a new, and this is my dataset name. The URL for the dataset is, if you click on this thing here, then it's this. There's my URL for the dataset, and if I go back, if I go back, and I then embed website or portal, it'll give me the URL for the embedded, and then the base report, I need to just come off there, go back, I just need to just click on the report itself, and I do need to get the report, but without the do you know what, I'm not sure if I should just have that little extra bit there. I think that'll save me messing around at a later date, but I don't think I did it on the first one. So base reports, let's just see URL for the dataset. I have put it in there on this one here. Maybe I shouldn't, it'd be a bit odd to have them different. So save and close on that. What else do I want on this? Well, I want to go to related and then do PBI pages, and I need to go new PBI page. That's a bit weird actually. So I go to PBI datasets, Power BI admin dashboard. It shouldn't have any related to it. Related PBI pages. Good. New PBI page, and then we need to just grab a couple of pages. So let's just call it environments. Environments. And then report section ID for that is this here. Good. And then I'm going to save and close that. And then I'm just going to do another one. New PBI page. And I'll get my page name. Let's do the apps. This is actually not related to this entity, this tenant at all. I just grabbed it. So this one is the one called report section, and so page name is the report section ID is that, and the page name I think is app, and I can save and close that. And filters, I don't know if there's any very good filters on this. So if I go to PBI datasets and then click on the admin dashboard and then go related and then go PBI filters, then I don't have any. Brilliant. But I can go onto here and not sure. Yeah, it's a really naff filter, but there's one called I need to edit this report because I don't know what the table is. So shared. So app admin shared users. That's what this would be. App / admin shared users. So I would then go new PBI filter. So the filter name is number of shares. And let's just say it's 1, 2, 3. There's probably better ways of doing this particular one. 4, 5. Oops, 5. I know there's actually only 5 that have actually been done anyway. So 6, and then the table field would be app / and then it's admin shared users. I'm going to double click on this. Admin app shared users. Can I rename it? Probably can't. Admin shared users. Let's just check that. Admin. This might work. It might not. I am going it a bit, doing it a bit quickly. Admin app shared users. So you do have to be a little bit precise. Admin app shared users. Right, that should work. If it doesn't, I'm not terribly surprised. Admin app shared users. Good. Right, I'm going to save and close that. So that means we've got one filter on there, which means that we can go from PBI datasets, we can go to our Power Platform admin dashboard, we can go to related, we can see the PBI pages, and we can see that there are 2 pages that we put in there, and then we can then go to related, and then we go to PBI filters, and then we can go to the number of shares, and we can see that there are. We can filter it in this way, which is a bit weird anyway. Great. Well, I'm an hour and 10 minutes into this. I don't know about you. So we have a working model-driven app that allows us to create relationships, you know, and we can create relationships between entities quite easily. But the next part of the process is actually one of the is where we're going to wire the whole lot together using Power Apps. So you may want to take a breather at this point. I kind of know I do, and we will. As I say, the next part of the process is we will create a Power App that looks at all of this data and allows us to interact with it in a really cool way. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to come out of this, going to clean my screen up a little bit. I don't really need this anymore. I kind of don't need this too much anymore. It'll always get upset with me when I close it. Yeah, it always does that. And I don't need this anymore. What I do need to do is I need to kill that. I'm just going to go back to home, onto Power Apps, and then I'm going to jump onto the solutions. Then I'm going to click on my Power BI portal, and then I'm going to go new, and then I go app. I'm going to hit a Canvas app, and I'm going to do tablet form factor. So, what's this? I get started. Well, actually, doesn't that show? I probably never actually made an app on this thing. Yeah, I've never made an app on this tenant before. Get started. Leave me alone. Okay. So, what are we going to do? We are going to go and get some data. View data sources, and I'm just going to type in PBI, and this better work. Okay, good. Ka-ching. Oh, I meant to do all of them. PBI. Ka-ching. And then PBI pages. Hey, we've done all right. No, we haven't. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, first of all, create a gallery. So I realised after watching through the video completely that understanding the relationships and how to use them in Canvas apps was really, really important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just not completely recreate this screen, but I'll recreate the galleries in this screen. So here we go. I'm going to click New Screen. I'm just going to do a blank screen. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the dataset. So I'm going to insert gallery, I'm going to do it as a vertical gallery, and then I'm going to attach it to the PBI datasets. So that brings in some information. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to do any sort of UI on this. Let's just grab you and move you across. But the next part is the really, really important part. So I'm going to insert another gallery, and it's a vertical gallery. But this time, the way in which I'm going to bring in, it would be very natural to then think, well, actually my data source, well, it must be the PBI pages. But that's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is the items equals, now I'm going to rename this gallery here. It's called gallery 1. I'm going to call it gal data set. I'm going to put 2 just in case, because there will be one for the other screen. So what I'm going to do is for the items on this, it's going to be gal dataset 2 dot. And now at this point, we need to look at the one that's selected. And then from the one that's selected, we are going to start traversing the relationships. So the way in which to do that is to go onto the PBI pages, and then that will return the correct information for us. So at that point, I'm just going to jump back to, I don't quite know why it's would be getting upset. I think it might be this image that it's upset with. Yeah, so it's actually the image it's upset with. I'm going to move these little fellas around here and then get rid of that. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm just going to delete this as well. But it has actually worked. So yeah, these So gallery 2, gallery dataset 2, and yeah, so that's that gallery 2. So what this is, gallery 2 is gal, and this is PBI pages 2. And in fact, what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to it's not very helpful actually. This I'm going to pop in a label, and the label is just going to, it says this item dot created on, and I'm going to change that to be this item dot page name, and that shows me that I've got page name. And if I just copy and paste, oh, didn't mean to do that. And if I insert another label, then you'll be able to see insert label, and it's default into that. But we could make it default to I think it was section ID, report section ID, and you can actually see that that information starts to come through. So just going to get rid of this bugging me. I think it's the image that it's not happy with. Edit in the formula bar. Yeah, width. I'll just make it 200 because I can't even see what I'm selected on. Yeah, so it was the title thing. So that is just amazingly cool, I think. So what I'm going to do is going to pop the report filters piece in. So I'm going to go insert gallery, vertical, and it's going to be the same principle here. I'm going to traverse the relationship, and I'm just going to go, and in fact on this one here, it says image and subtitle. I don't want that. I'm just going to make it, let's just make it title, see what it does. And then what it is, it's gal dataset 2 dot selected selected dot and it's going to be the filters, PBI filters, and that will pull those out for me. You can't see what's selected because I haven't put the UI on it, but if you actually put it into the play mode, then you'll actually be able to see that the different galleries then sort of select. I'm just going to move onto that's one of the items there. This item dot filter name. I'm just going to copy and paste that. What actually I'm going to do is pop that in there, and then it's I think it's piped filter piped options, so you can see that that we've got more than one option there. And what I'm going to do is insert a little drop down, insert I should really be using this thing here, shouldn't I? Watch this, how cool is this? So drop down, drag that across into there, and what I can do is I can make it this item dot PBI. I know it's piped filter piped options, items equals this item dot filter. So it would actually be a split this item dot filter piped options. What we're going to split on pipe, and then close the brackets, and then that way you can actually see that's how we actually get the different options out of a single field, which I think is really cool. So that shows you the principles, and the way in which we get to the embedded reports is, I just want to make this, I want to copy and paste that, and it's kind of embedded, URL embedded. And what we can see is that if we go insert charts, Power BI tile, and then instead of going tile URL, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do so I'm going to go onto this thing here, and I'm being really daft here, I need to sort of expand this out. That's it, Power BI, and I need to go to tile URL. Hello. Tile URL. And what is the tile URL going to be? Well, it's actually going to be gal dataset 2 dot selected dot embedded, URL embedded. And so what that then does is it goes and reaches out into the into Power BI to then return to us the correct report. I'm not sure if you get an option to close down the filters, but that is the principle of how we build the next pages. And so the other side of it is that we essentially extend the embedded by the report section and the filter that we've chosen. So I hope you find that useful, and we're going to jump back now to the main demonstration. Now I have got a bunch of things here, and I don't know if I can actually copy and paste them in. Let me just see. I might just sort of cheat my way to this. It'd be quite fun if they do. Oh my gosh, it's working. I wasn't expecting this. This is actually, here's one I prepared earlier. So this is my Power BI Explorer, but of course it's not wired up correctly at the moment. So what we're going to do on this is we are going to make it all go together like birds of a feather. So what I need to do is to wire this lot up here. So on select, no, it's not anything. I need to click on this and then I need to go to my, I don't know, it does this quite a lot actually. So on select, so I need to go to my items. Right, Power BI reports, which didn't even exist. So I'm going to type in PBI. So it's my PBI datasets. Good. And you can actually see them come in straight away, which is quite cool. Now, it's a bit strange looking. So I just need to work out, oh, is that created on? Brilliant. I don't need that. So got my two reports. This bit, I love this bit here. So I'm going to look at the items here. So what it's doing is it's looking at this gallery here. This is called Gal Power BI Reports, and so actually we should just do it from the start. So Gal, oh, no, into the items on this gallery here, and so I'm going to type in Gal. I've got, this one's called Power BI Reports. It should be called Power BI Datasets. Power BI Datasets. So it's going to look in there, and then you hit the dot, and then we're going to look at the selected one, and then we're going to look at the. We need to look at the PBI pages, and it will return to us a. This should return to us a series of. Well, actually, it returns to us a table of data. So I think we can see there's a table of data. We just haven't got the right field names and so on. So let's just see what we've got available to us. So we've actually got a. Let's just type in name, because I think there's a. So it's page name. Yeah. See, I never like putting spaces in between things. You always end up with these stupid quotes and so on. Not good. And so this little fella here doesn't like it. So this one, yeah. So ID, just type in ID, report section ID. So it's a little bit on the small side. So I'm just going to just show you what we're actually looking at here. So what we've done is we've created. I think this is just super cool, because what it's done is it's traversed the relationship between the dataset page and the report entity. So, and if I click on different ones, then it's you can see that they change around. So we can see it changes around. Now the purpose of this is so that later on we can actually have a tile that refreshes. So that is those two kind of wired up. But the report filter is definitely wired up, because the items isn't correct on this. So I'm going to click on here, and on select I'm going to do, it's not that, I need to look at my items. So it's Gal Power BI Reports. It's actually the datasets, dot selected, dot, and we want the filters, PBI filters. That's going to return us a data set. It's not a very big data set because we didn't actually put very many filters in. This one we did put two. I think we put two filters onto this one here. but what we've got here is these things don't actually work correctly yet. So I'll get edit in the formula bar. So yeah, this item dot filter table field, and this here is piped options, filter piped options. So what we're starting to do is we can start to see that we have created some different filters that we can use. That's quite good. I don't need, there's a lot of things here that I don't actually need. I do need this. Yeah, what I might need to do is just wire this little fella up here. So name, yeah, there's filter name there. Good lad. So there's the filter name. The filter name is year. That's the table field is dim date year, and these are my options. Brilliant. I'll OK that, and then hit the drop down here. I don't even know what this thing's doing. I think this was just like a little helper for me. So to enable me to work out what the options were. So okay, and the reason why that isn't working, I think, is because it refers to this drop down here. So let's have a look at the items on this. And so what we do is we do a split. So what we're doing is we are splitting this field, so that what we do is we return ourselves a tiny table, which will say 2017, 2018, 2019, or male and female, or whatever it might be. So I am then going to go onto here, and I am going to go onto, so it's split. What are we going to split? We're going to do gal Power BI report filter dot selected. So it's whichever one's selected dot and then the filter piped options. That's right. And how are we going to split them? And we're going to split them on the delimiter, which is a pipe, and then close that, and that should be enough. Now I could be being a bit thick here. No, it does work. And you can actually see this is the bit where I try to work out how to write the filter correctly. Good, and actually you can see that we can that if we were doing it on male and female, then you got your option of male and female. I hope it's not just me that's still on this. Right, so that's that done. And the objective of that was to get to a tile URL that actually works. Now I've kind of put it down here just because it was quite a mouthful to actually make it work. So so what we need is a series of things. Now in this table here, in the Power BI report table, I should call it Power BI data set. In the Power BI dataset table, one of the things that we can pull out of there is the dataset URL. So, so what I'm going to do on that is I'm actually going to pull it out and just say, well, actually, what is the text of this? Oops. What is the? No, it's default. What's the default? It's gal.powerbireports. And I think it's called URL dataset. Oops. URL dataset. So actually, we're not far off on this. So we could refresh our dataset for this, provided that we wire up the flow to this button here. That is what I'm going to do for the next couple of minutes. So let's see how that works. So on here you can see refresh dataset, and what it does is I may just write the whole thing in one go, because what I need to do is I need to go and grab my flow that we created. So I need to go on to action, so and yes, perfect, brilliant. So what is it going to do? It's going to fire this flow off. And so I'm adding this in here. Now, oh dear. I know it's going to add it to the screen actually, which is really dumb. So I'm just going to remove this. I'm going to remove that. So I don't want it there. Remove from the app. And if you actually click on the button and then click on the flows and then you click on that and then you actually click on the actual the icon itself, it'll actually add it onto the button that you're interested in. Now, this is not quite right, because it should require 2 parameters. So there's something not quite right about that. So I'm going to go on to manage your flows. I'm going to go on to onto Power Apps. I'm going to click done on that. Where is my flow? That is mysterious, because the flow is not there, and yet I added it. So don't know how it's going to get to it. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto here and then go onto this thing here, and I'm going to edit the flow, and then I will see what is happening here, because when on this refresh dataset thing, oh, that's really stupid. It's actually put in the same it's probably me being stupid actually. In fact, it was definitely me being stupid, because I should have gone on to if you go to see more, then you have to get to ask in Power Apps. I actually use the same thing. So if I click save on this now, I've got 2 parameters. So I'll click save on that, and then that's all happy. And then go back, and then I'm going to my my flow here. Now I will need to remove it from the app and add it back in, and then I need to click on this to add it in, and then we should see that I need to add in 2 elements now, and that is the workspace and the dataset. Now, do you know what? It is going to be massively easier for us to just update the entity with the workspace and the dataset. Let's do that. So I'm going to go onto there, and I'm going to go onto the dataset entity here. Sorry, my dog is barking. And I'm going to go on to add a field, and I'm going to call it workspace ID, text. And it will need to be 36. In fact, I can make it 36, and then click done, and I'll put required on there and click done. Unfortunately, I need to add that into the views and so on. I'll do that in a minute, and then I'll add a field, and then I'll do data set ID, and that's text. And I'll make it advanced options, and then do max length 36. And then make that required, and click done on that. I'm going to make sure it's actually in the form there. I need to click save the entity, then go onto the form, then onto the main, and then onto what do we need to do is we need to do dataset ID and workspace ID. Good. Click, you're done, save. Then I'm going to publish it, then I'm going to edit it, and then I'm going to go back to the flow. Okay, good. So where are we? Yes, I need to, what I need to do is need to go back, and I need to run the app. So solutions, Power BI portal. I need to go onto the model driven app, and I need to just run it on the model driven app. Good. And then I'm going to click play on that. And I am going to just do it on, I'll do it on this one here. Now we should get that. That's good. URL dataset. So that is the workspace there. Dataset ID. and I've got the oh, that's the wrong one. So that needs to go there. Might be better to actually put them around the other way around. Okay, go on to there. Workspace ID, good. And so is that dataset ID, workspace ID, good. And I'm going to save that, and I'm going to do it for the other one as well. So go on to datasets, onto my admin dashboard. In actual fact, this doesn't matter for this one because I can't refresh it anyway. So there is the dataset. It's not that at all. It's not the dataset. That's the workspace. In actual fact, the workspace can be the same every time. And there's the dataset ID. And then click save on that. Good. And then what I need to do is go back to my app here, and I should be able to hit the refresh on the go view data sources, PBI datasets there. Go and hit the refresh on that. And then that should make those available to me, which means I can go onto this and then I can click on run, and I should be able to hit hit the gallery for the data set and then pull out the information I need. So gal Power BI, well, what did I call this? Power BI reports dot selected dot what is Sean's first? Workspace ID, comma, and I'm just going to copy and paste this and just do it with the dataset ID. Dataset ID. Okay, and that should fire things off. You can get it to sort of come back with a message and things like that. So let's just see. Okay, on select. Okay, I don't have a second screen, so that's fine. So what screen does it want to get to? Report refresh screen. Okay, fine. So I'm going to call this screen here report refresh screen. Hello. There are times when you wonder. Just want to rename this report refresh screen. I don't think I did have a thing where you sort of bounced out to different to a different page. Let's just see if I get to that. Let's see if we can actually refresh the data set at this stage. So let's take a look at the data refresh process. So this is all based on an Excel spreadsheet to almost to demonstrate that we can do these refreshes. So I'm going to jump onto the Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to change some numbers on the products page because I know that's the thing that changes the things the most. I'm going to change this to 20 and 10. And what that does is it changes the figures that are on this sales page. So now what I can do is I can go back to my portal page. I'll just remind us that on the flows themselves, this ran, if I refresh this here, we'll see it ran 18, 19 minutes ago and so on. So there's our runs 20 minutes ago. So back onto the portal itself, and if I hit refresh dataset, that whatever happens, it's going to refresh. And we can also see that the standard way of looking at it, 77543. So we're looking at 2018. So now I'm going to hit refresh, and we should get a refresh out of that. So I can see if the flow has started by refreshing this view here, and we should see it's probably completely finished by now. So having a look at that, so it actually ran 13 seconds ago and it succeeded. That means that if we go on here on normal Power BI, we should be able to see that it refreshed, and we'll see some different numbers that appear here. So 609, and similarly, if we can literally just change pages here. I'm just going to change 2018 to 2017, and then I'm going to move back up again to 2018. And so we'll see that the data has indeed refreshed, and it's in line with what's shown online. And you know, we know that we can jump between the different pages, and we've got the refresh going on here. So that is the refresh process demonstrated as having actually worked. What I'd like to do now, because I don't think it's that clear in the videos, is do a bit of a deep dive on the URL that takes us to across to the Power BI report, because that's really important. So I'm just going to click on the X there, and I'm just going to look at the tile URL. Well, actually the tile URL goes off and looks at the label because it's quite a busy label. And so what I'm going to do is talk you through how this actually gets put together. So what it does is it looks at gal Power BI reports.selected.url embedded. And we could stop there. It would be fine. But then what we do is we add the page name, which is actually the report section ID, and then we go on further and we add the filter in relation to the filter table fields, and then we actually hit the drop down to make that work. So you can actually see that if I click on this here, then these are all of the objects that are affected or that are required for this to actually work. Obviously if it's not completely clear, then do let me know, because it is a bit of a mouthful. The way in which I've enhanced this app further is I've actually got a show hide, so it actually takes us out to another page, and that was actually why we had lots of errors on the app, because they were referring to a screen that didn't exist. So I'll sort of show you how that works. If I go to show hide report, effectively it just looks at the same, it just creates a much bigger tile for the same report. Now it does actually wait around 7 seconds before it kind of fires up, so this one's constantly refreshing. I'm going to pause that though, so that it doesn't keep doing that. But what I want to demonstrate is that actually we can launch the full Power BI, or we can launch an embedded version of the Power BI. So sometimes the embedded version is quite nice. And you can see it here, and you can see that it actually has got the filter that we put in before, but full Power BI is quite a nice way to jump out as well, because you may want to have a bit more functionality. That means that you can get to, you know, see a little bit more under the hood. So this is the standard way of looking at it. What I'd like to do now is do a recap of what's been created in this tutorial. So in the first instance, we created an environment. Within that environment, we created an empty solution. Inside the solution, we created a Microsoft Power Automate flow, which would allow us to refresh a dataset. We then went on to create entities, the PBI dataset filter and page entities, that we then created relationships between, and that we then created a model-driven app, because it was a very successful way of performing data entry, and it was relatively quick to do that. And then finally, we put together a Canvas app that was capable of viewing the data that was sitting within our common data service, and was additionally able to leverage the flow that we created that would enable us to refresh the dataset. So I think what I'll do now is I will jump out to look just at one final look at the Canvas app. Now I recognise this Canvas app is not visually, it's not, you know, where you would want it to be, but functionally it really does work. So let's go back and take a look at the app. So here's the app. We have the ability to jump between different Power BI reports. Once we've found the reports, we can choose different pages on the reports, and and then they pop up, which is rather nice. I'll move back to the SharePoint sync. We can click on different, as I say, different pages, and we can even click on different filters and choose whatever version of the report is most meaningful to us. And if we remember that this is just a single tile that is capable of showing a vast number of views of your Power BI report. So for me, I think this is, I love it. I think there's loads further to go with this, and there is a significant ability to make a really great user experience. So we can then move to the show hide report, where we get to see the full version of the report, and we can still continue to interact with it. And if it's not good enough for us, we can launch full Power BI or an embedded, or whatever it is we want to do. I will jump back to the model-driven app, because the model-driven app is a very useful way of us being able to perform data entry, and it's much simpler to do that. We were able to create new data sets, and we can navigate through those data sets relatively easily by jumping into related and then looking at the pages that relate to it and so on. If we want to create a new related page, we can create those quite easily. So I hope you've enjoyed this session. I hope you've learned a lot during this session. I know I have. I've made the odd mistake along the way, but that's for me. It was. This is the first time I've actually really got into using the Common Data Service and do something that just blew me away. So I hope you feel the same way about it, and I hope you carry on experimenting with the Power Platform, because I think it's absolutely wonderful. If you want to have more videos like this, please make sure you subscribe. If you want to be notified, I think there's like a bell that you actually click to get notified when I put out more videos. But other than that, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you again sometime soon. Thanks, bye.